Hi guys, Miss Kenny here. This is your lesson for Friday, October 2nd. So we are going to be talking about rotations today. I'm going to try to teach you the easiest way possible. So what I want you guys to do is, if you can pause the video, I want you, sorry, I'm moving the camera as I do this. If you have any kind of wax paper or patty paper or parchment paper in your kitchen, anything that's partially see-through that you can write on. Now I'm gonna use Sharpies because wax paper is a little hard to write on, but if you can pause your video and go get this, okay? Because we're gonna be using this. We have two more transformations left. Today is rotations, and then Monday will be dilations. Remember that your test is a week from today, so make sure that you are getting all the notes done and taking really good notes because it's open note. Also, make sure don't get behind on anything. If you have questions, make sure you're coming to our tutoring, Zoom tutoring, whether you're in person or at home. Remember, I record these early, so we might all be virtual at this time. I don't know. But anyways, just make sure that you're staying caught up, especially if you're at home, because you have to keep yourself accountable. If you don't know it, you're gonna need to force yourself to ask for help, okay? Otherwise, you will fail this class, but I don't wanna fail this. You don't wanna fail this class. So just try your best, ask for help, make sure you know it, okay? Let's see. Remember that we're taking a lot of grades. You will have a quiz today. So it's gonna go over all the notes from the week. So we did parallel and perpendicular lines, we did translations, we did reflections, and then we did rotations. So you're gonna have a 10-question quiz. Half of it's multiple choice, half of it's open-ended. Use your notes to help you. So that's what you're gonna do after you take these notes. Today we're gonna do 3 examples together, and so I hope you have some kind of see-through paper that you can use. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip this camera over, and we're gonna go ahead and start our notes for the day. So, all right, let me zoom in just a little bit. All right, there we go. All right, so today is the 2nd of October, 10/2. We are doing transformations. And we are going to talk about rotations. Now, I apologize for my video yesterday. It was not the best video. I had kind of messed up a little bit, so I had to like trim it and restart the problem. But hopefully it's clear. If not, please come ask for help, okay? All right, transformations, rotations. So let's first define what a rotation is. It's a transformation of an image that is a circular motion around a fixed point. Now, most of the time, this fixed point is going to be your origin. So to the examples that we do, we'll have a rotation around the origin, and then sometimes it's just a random point. So we're gonna do one of those as well. I promise you that if you have this, any kind of paper, it'll help. If for some reason you can't find anything, if you're able to stop by school and I'm at school, then I can get you some, okay? So example 1. Now, there's 2 ways you can rotate. You can rotate clockwise, just the way a clock goes, right, to the right, or counterclockwise, which would be this way. So you have to pay very close attention to what it's saying. There's 4 like degrees that it will rotate. So 90 degrees is, it goes like, like if you're turning to the side, that's a 90 degree. A 180 is if you turn around and face backwards. 270 is where you face the side, go backwards, and then go to the other side. That's 270. And then 360, hopefully y'all know what that means. It's if you make a complete circle and you're back out there. So we're gonna be rotating it just those 4 degrees, so they wouldn't get any other one, I promise. All right, so I want you to rotate, my pen. Rotate the image. Let's do 180 degrees clockwise around the origin. All right, and we're gonna have to draw a shape each time. So here's my x-axis, my y-axis. You know how I like to number my graphs. All right, so I am going to draw A, B, and C. Triangle. You can't see that. I apologize. All right. So in case it's hard to see, I'm going to write the points here, and I always recommend that you write the points here. So A is at +1, -1. Point B is at 3, -2. And point C is at 0, -4. Okay, so this is where we need our wax paper, patty paper, parchment paper, whatever you can find, okay? And you don't need a big piece, you just need a piece about big enough to cover that. So if I'm going too fast, pause it, okay? Pause it, make sure you have all this down, and then restart it in a second. But what I'm gonna do, and this is the most important part when you're tracing, I'm gonna trace the X and Y axis, and I'm gonna put an arrow going up. That's very, very important that you put an arrow going up. And then I'm gonna use 2 different colors to kind of see it here. Make sure that's lined up carefully. I have point C, point A, point B. All right, so you can see this is drawn right here. Try to trace it really well because it is important. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate it clockwise. So that means I'm gonna turn it to the right. So this arrow, think about it, the arrow is pointing at 12 o'clock, right? I'm gonna go in the direction of a clock and it's gonna face 180. So like, remember I said that's like you facing backwards. So not to the side, that would be a 90 degree. If I asked for 90 degrees clockwise, oh man, I'm like the worst drawer here. It's never lining up. 90 degrees would be right there, clockwise, but I'm gonna go 180. And it's going to be right there. And so I can see right here, point C is up 4 instead of down 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark it here. I'm gonna pick it up and put C prime because that's my new C. I can see that point A is back 1, up 1. So I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna go back 1, up 1, and I'm gonna put point A. And then point B is back 1, 2, 3, up 2. And here's B prime. So my new image, once it's been rotated, is right there. So I'm gonna put A prime, B prime, C prime, and we're gonna write our new, and then we're gonna write transformation notation because that's very helpful to write, because sometimes you'll be asked, given a rotation, how would you write the transformation notation? That's hard to say fast. Transformation notation. All right, so my new A prime is at -1, +1. My new B is at -3, +2. And my new C is at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, +4. All right, so if I look on my A's, X change signs, Y change signs. Same thing here. My X changed from positive to negative, my Y changed from negative to positive. Now here's 0, 0, but 0 doesn't have a sign, so that's kind of, and then -4 to +4. So my transformation notation here would be, it goes from xy to negative x comma negative y. And it's not the same on all transformations, so you have to be careful not to just assume that. All right, example 2. We are going to rotate the image 90 degrees counterclockwise. Around the origin. Now, can anybody think another way? So I rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, right? That's one turn to the left. That's also the same as what other rotation? Well, one turn counterclockwise is the same as 3 clockwise, so 270 clockwise. You don't really need to know that, but I thought, see if you did. All right, so I'm gonna draw my X and Y axis. We're gonna draw a little rectangle here. Let's go. Right here will be A, B, C, and D. Okay, so write that down the best you can. Here are the points. A, B, C, D. A is at -1, comma, +1. B is at -1, 1, 2, 3. C is at -4, 3. And D is at -4, 1. All right, so I cut a little square again, so I have my little, copy that down, pause it if you need to. Sorry if I'm going too fast. We're gonna get my patty paper and I'm gonna draw. Now I'm not gonna line up the whole thing, I'm just gonna do it that way. There's my arrow pointing up. I'm gonna draw this, make sure I don't move it. B, C, I don't have the best Sharpies here. A. All right, so you can kind of see it, B, C, D. I can barely read it, but. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going 90 degrees, that means one turn sideways, counterclockwise. So I want this arrow to point left. The arrow is very important. You wanna make sure you always have that arrow. All right, so I can see that point A is down here. It's a little hard to see, but it looks like it's right here at -1, -1. And then point B is at -1, 2, 3, 4, -4. So this is A prime. This is B prime. 1, 2. I might have that a little off. Let me make sure. Oh yeah, I am one off. Sorry, it's right here. So just double check that you have everything lined up. So then point C is at, and you can kind of see, like, I know that if this is B, 1, 2, 3, it's 3 away. So 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness, my points are so bad right now. I'm sorry, guys. But it should be right here. C prime. And so so like when I line it back up, you see how my point that I did is where C is. So then D is gonna be right here. I know it's aligned with that and it's right under A. So here's my D prime. And I can draw it. Now, I haven't tried these pens on the wax paper. It might work better. So it's something you might want to try. All right, so A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. So A prime is at -1, -1. B prime is at 1, 2, 3, -3, -1. Point C is at -3, -4. And point D is at -1, -4. All right, so transformation notation. I'm going from X comma Y to, all right, so let's see if we can figure this out because it's different than the first one. So here, now this one's a little hard. So it looks like just the AX stayed the same and the Y is negative, but let's look here where it's different numbers. So here the X and Y got flipped, I can tell. Same thing with here. So the X and Y is flipped, but when it flipped, did it stay the same? So if I put the 3 first, it became negative. Did that happen with this 3 first negative and this 1 first negative? Okay, so what happened was the Y became X and then it became negative. So this is -Y. And now let's see what happened. So here, this X is -1, but now that's exactly what the Y is here. It didn't change sign. Here the X is -4, and now it's the Y, it didn't change sign. And D, the X was -4, now that's the Y, it didn't change sign. So this became X. So -Y, X. So that is a little tricky, and we'll practice that more. All right, let's look at one more example where we're not rotating around the origin. And I don't know if I wrote that, so around the origin, okay, good. We're gonna do one where we rotate around a random point. So example 3, rotate the image 270 degrees. Let's do clockwise, it's fine. Around point X. All right, so let's draw the image. So let me make a better graph than I did last time. Okay, so we're gonna go, here's point A, here's point B, and then we'll do point C. All right, and let's say point X is going to be at -2, -2. We'll call this point X here. Actually, yeah, we might come off the graph a little bit, but that's okay. All right, so copy that down, get your piece of wax paper, parchment paper, whatever you're using. So what we're gonna do in this case is, normally we draw our arrow, like our little X and Y on the origin with the arrow pointing up. Well, instead of doing it there, we are gonna do it right here with an arrow pointing up. And then we're still gonna trace A, this is a better, C is here and B is here. I think this one works better than my green one, so we're gonna use that. And so if we're going, now you just gotta make sure it's lined up. So that's why I had X be on this line, because otherwise it wouldn't be as easy to do. So we are gonna turn it 270 degrees clockwise, which means I'm gonna go to the right. So this would be, I would line it up just like that, 90. So 90 would be down here. 180 would be right there. And then 270 is going to be right here. All right. So point A is, now we're not going to write the transformation notation. I'm not going to expect you to be able to do that. I just want you to be able to do this with patty paper. So -1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so right here is my point A. Up here would be my point B. And it's kind of off the graph, but that's okay. And you can even poke a hole in it. I've done that before. Point C. And so as long as you can draw, because these questions are a little bit harder, as long as you can draw this A prime, B prime, C prime, then you're good. So I know that point A is at 1, 2. Point B is at 2, 2. And point C is at 3, 4. Now my new points here, we're gonna try our best to figure out what these are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 5, 4, and maybe 7, 5. I didn't. Now, if I made you do this, I would give you graph paper if this was like a test. So don't freak out if it's kind of weird. As long as you can kind of get to this point, I'd be fine with it. So, let me turn this around. Now, there is an algorithm where you can find this algebraically, like just adding point X and then I don't know. You have to watch the video. I'm not going to expect you to do it. It's an optional video if you want to do it, okay? But there is a way to algebraically find your new A prime, B prime, and C prime. So I'll post that video if it's something that you want to learn, but don't feel like you have to. Again, for the assessment, I can give you patty paper. If you're at home, you can stop by the school and I'll make sure that you'll be able to pick it up if that's something that you feel like you need. But again, wax paper, parchment paper, ask your parents. Your mom or dad probably, it's somewhere in the kitchen. And so you might be able to find some, okay? If you have questions, come on Zoom, and I hope you have a great day.